and welcome back to Conversations in the Community. I'm your host, Dania Parker-Smith, and I'm also a real estate agent here in London with Vista Premier Realty and Team Forster. Today, we are joined with Ashley HORAT, who is a new entrepreneur with a new startup venture in London that we're excited to find out about. So the company is called the Mindfull Co, and I'm going to let Ashley share her dream and her vision with you. So welcome, Ashley.
Thanks so much, Dania. I appreciate you having me.
How long have you lived in London?
I've been born and raised in London. I've lived in Wortley Village my whole life, except for moving away for university for a couple of years. But I actually do currently live in my childhood home right in Wortley Village. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. I don't have that opportunity to live in my childhood home. So I always wondered what that was like.
It's pretty awesome to raise my kids in the home that I grew up in. They go to the same public school that I did. And yeah, it's a special place in the heart.
So during the pandemic, you've had a lot of changes in your life, and out of this, the changes and stuff, a lot of people have had reflections and, maybe changes in the way where they're going in life. And
sure.
that pretty much it describes your story, right? And with the Mindfull Co, just tell me a little bit about how that came to be and what your plans are with the company.
Yeah. So a year ago, I had a full-time day job. Once the pandemic kind of came into full force and the mass layoffs happened last March, I was part of that. I took some time off just to spend the summer with my kids and figure out what I wanted to do. The Mindfull Co kind of came to be. I love being in the kitchen. I love baking. I love baking for people. And so it was something that kind of was planted in my head, but I really didn't know what to do with it, where to start and go from there. So actually just on the whim of a comment from a neighbor in Wortley Village, she says, well, why don't you go back to school then? And I just thought, no, that can't be. But then that comment really sat with me. So I looked into programs at Fanshawe. They had an amazing baking program. I've heard such great things about it. And so sort of within the last couple of weeks of August, I registered for that, went back to school full time in September. And that's where I've been for the last couple of months. Over Christmas holidays, one of my classmates and I got to talking. She really loved the idea of the Mindfull Co and what it could be. And she kind of just gave me the confidence to start it up.
So how did you land on that name for your business?
It just kind of came to me and it sat and I loved it. I think that, it is sort of a play on words because full does have two L's in it. I think that, our minds are so full these days that oftentimes the last thing we're thinking about is what we're putting in our bodies. So I kind of want to help everyone take the guesswork out of that. I want to provide foods that help you feel fueled, but also taste delicious. People think about going on these health journeys or, we've demonized food in such a way, but I don't think any of that's necessary. So I think that we should become more mindful of what we are putting in our bodies. It's the only one we have for this lifetime. And also just because our minds are so busy with everything else we've got going on, we help out with that. So.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that I could spend this time with you and find this out because I did see a post that you were doing for Valentine's goodies for people to order. And I was very intrigued about, I like to know why the name of a business, because I think that speaks a lot of who you are and what your vision and your goal is for your company, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what are your goals for the next year with the company?
Well, seeing as we're so brand new, obviously so much has changed in the last year, so who knows where we'll be next year. But I would love to continue on. We're doing pre-orders for holidays coming up, Easter and Mother's Day, and then going forward, finish my degree in baking and pastry arts management, and then see where we can go. It's kind of, we're working on a delivery basis right now. So you're placing your orders with the Mindfull Co, and then we are making them fresh, delivering them to your house for you. And then after that, we'll kind of see where the pandemic takes us. I do have visions of potentially having a food truck or a physical space. Ideally, a physical space here in the village would be amazing. And then we'll see where it goes from there.
Exciting. And so you have lived in Wortley your whole life. You live in your childhood home.
Yeah.
What do you love about that area, or what's your favorite memory of being and living in Wortley?
Oh my goodness, I have so many. I think the thing that I love so much about living in Wortley is it's such a small community within such a big city. Walking my kids to school in the morning, you see so many people you can stop and say hi to. Going down to, Value Mart in the village, like a lot of those employees have worked there basically my entire life. And although I don't know anything about them personally, it's nice to just have those little conversations all the time, right? There's so many community groups, and people are just always looking to come together in this community. And I just don't think you can find that many other places here in London. So I think we're really blessed to live in this area. We have so many beautiful paths and parks, and just, it's a really great place to live, and a really great place to raise your kids too.
Yeah. So you have spent the pandemic refocusing and inventing yourself pretty much.
Yeah.
What else have you done? So you have children. What have you done with your kids to keep busy?
So they've actually joined me. My youngest, who is 5 now, she's actually really taken up to joining me in the kitchen a lot. So she loves, she comes home from school. What can we bake today, mommy? We're trying to stay as sane as possible, going outside, going for walks, tobogganing. In the summer, we love to be at the beach and outdoors as much as we possibly can. And just really enjoying this time, because although it's so tough for so many, we don't really get this time to slow down very often, right? So we've had lots of snuggles and lots of books that we read together, and even just being able to read my own book or do some research myself, with one kid on one side snuggling with me and the other on the other side, like that's pretty amazing. So it's been such a weird time, but it is what it is, I guess, right?
So many people have had their whole life refocused from one way to the next, and they've had, out of necessity, to say, I have to feed my family. Why not take the things I love and make them into something I can support my family with?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what we're doing here. So
awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today, Ashley. I appreciate that. I loved learning to find out about how your business started and where you're planning on going. I wish you all the best of success as you move forward. And thank you once again. And if you would like to have your business featured here on the Park Bench site, please go on the site. You just click the little button that says you'd love to be interviewed, and I will connect with you. And please stay tuned for another episode coming up shortly.